Hey guys, Engineer Wannabe here with my good friend Torin. Patrick is here, but he will be a bit later. We're going to be doing Watch Soup, and it'll be a bit more laid back, not as structured, I guess. And it wasn't really that structured before, but a bit more laid back, a bit more conversational, maybe. I mean, it was conversational before, but
It's a good start. Yeah.
yeah, you guys know what I mean. Yeah, so we're going to be looking at two videos, and conversation will go wherever it goes, basically. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, let us know. But yeah, Torin, how's it going? How's your Sunday?
Not too bad, thanks. The
Yeah.
weather was a lot better, so
Yeah, it was nice today.
a little.
Yeah. How? What's on your wrist? Sorry.
Well, for today's video, we're wearing the white
Nice.
birch.
Great choice. Beautiful. Yeah, today the weather was really nice. I took. It was my turn to take. Well, it was my turn. It was my daughter's turn to go out with me. So I take my kids out on like I guess like a date. And today it was my oldest daughter's turn. So we went around town. I stopped by every game store, used secondhand game store in the neighborhood pretty much. I've been on a bit of a bender, picking up games that I grew up with, and yeah, because 3DS, Nintendo shops are closing, and online stores are closing, and things are getting a bit wild. It made me realize that I kind of miss those games. I don't know when I'm going to play them, but yeah, I have them.
Do
I
your
have a whole,
kids play the games too, or just like you and your wife?
no, just my wife plays maybe a couple of like the Professor Laytons, so like the visual novels, but my kids don't play anything yet.
Do you have like an all-time favorite Nintendo title or Nintendo franchise?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
That's tough. Oh man, I'm gonna say Mario and Luigi, like the series Mario and Luigi. They not not Super Mario Bros, which is like a platformer. Mario
Yeah.
and Luigi is an RPG, so it's really funny. Story based. The other Mario's really aren't, but Mario and Luigi, Super Mario RPG, those things are probably one of my favorites. But that's really hard. Anyway,
Wow.
let's get back into watching. Oh, and really heartbreaking story here, Marcus. If you're looking, my daughter broke my pen today. My Pirate's Life pen. It was she was tugging on my coat, and it just went. It hurt.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure
Yeah.
Marcus will hook you up again. Oh, hey, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Hey guys.
Hey, Patrick. Welcome
Good
back.
evening.
Good to see you. How was your Sunday?
Oh, I just got back from work and raced home to put the baby to bed and make it in time for Talk Soup.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. You're a little staticky. I'm not sure why that might be. But yeah, it's good to have you. Thanks for joining us again on your working weekend.
Oh, this is my break from work, so I love it.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. What's on yours today?
Well, because I did such a shameful thing yesterday and wore a Apple Watch to work, I decided to up my game and I wore the Sky Dweller.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
So
A bit of an upgrade there.
Yeah. Great choice. Great choice. Was that a black dial or blue?
black dial.
Nice.
So I am not a hype monster. I actually think the black dial looks 1,000 times better than the blue, but everyone else just likes their blue, I guess.
Yeah. Blue is an appealing color, so I understand. But yeah, I do like that black. On my wrist is the constellation. Speaking of blue dials,
Oh, yeah.
blue dial constellation here.
So we can confirm Sanjay still has the constellation of it.
You sure can. It's still here.
Can you hold it up to a newspaper? We want proof of life.
Yeah.
I make sure this is the real day and time.
Yeah, I'm actually a virtual intelligence You're not actually talking to Sanjay. Everything here is pre-recorded. And anyway, um, let's say hi to everyone in the chat. Peter, good to see you. Bill, Easy Clayton, good to see you, sir. Chaz, how's it going? Amin is here as well. Good to see Amin. Time Hill, Steve, Steve. Good to see you. Wilson, how's it going? James, good to see you as well. Sorry about how we were talking shop. I know you're very closely involved with games, I think, or comics, maybe. I'm not real sure. Wayman, good to see you. Caliber YKG, Murat, how's it going? Bruno, good to see you. Cowboy Swami, how's it going, sir? Hope you're doing well. Hey, Eric's here. Good to see you. Wearing the Panerai 361. Nice. Very nice. Congrats on that, by the way, Eric. Scott Tarlow, good to see you. He just bought the Forstner Beads of Race bracelet. Saw you had a video on it. Do you still like it? I still love it. I saved that for the summer months for my SPGY 003, the Beads of Race, generally speaking. Chaz, Birch Bros. No, wait, never mind. Wayman is wearing the Citizen Chronomaster. Very cool. Kevin Hawthorne, good to see you. Roy Jr., good to see you. Ken Spears checking in from Pittsburgh. Good to see you, sir. John Page, how's it going? James Duffy is wearing the Wii Master. Cool. Hey, Tennessee Mike's here as well. Nilo, I don't think I said hi to you. Hi, Nilo. Wilson's wearing the gray Cassioke. Hey, and speaking of Cassioks, Mr. Cassioke, Steve, good to see you. Paul is here as well, wearing the perfectly proportioned 36 millimeter unisex Explorer. Yes, indeed. Hey, Pale Horse, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Anish, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I'm gonna scroll down here. Justin is strapped in. All right. Let's keep going. Hey, Kevin's here. Good to see you. Wrong time watch. Hope you're doing well. Okay. If I missed anyone, I'm really sorry. I'm sure I'll catch you while we chat here. So let's get right into it. Hey, Darren's here. Good to see you, Darren. And Joey's here as well. Justin's wearing the IWC Le Petit Prince. Very cool. Justin enjoys rice year-round. Finds seasonal rice sanctions limiting and unreasonable. Yep, I totally understand. Hey, Kevin S. is wearing the Seiko Astron. Very cool. Purple dial one, Kevin? All right, okay. Let's start with the Birch Brothers one, since we were talking about Birch Brothers. Torin, do you wanna introduce this video from Hodinky?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, this week's Hodinky Week on the Wrist video was dedicated to the white birch, and it was really surprised because it was done by I guess a Hodinky contract person who people know on this channel as Brendan. He did a really phenomenal. The videography I thought was really sharp, like the editing that he was able to do just to do some macro work, and as well as getting some real work, real life wrist shots of the white birch. And I think he did a really good job presenting it in terms of, he kind of started off the video saying it's all in the details, and then he went fairly granular into not just the finishing on the dial, but on the case. He talked a little bit about the 9S, like the Elevation Series cases from Grand Seiko, and as well as the importance and, the well-finished movement with the 9SA5. Yeah. And it was funny because after that video went live, I sent him a message and he responded to me. He's like, by the way, I don't actually road bike with my white birch on, because there was a couple of B-roll clips of him, booking it on his road bike. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was brave. Very brave. He was really giving it too. on that road bike. What did you think about his analysis? Being a white birch owner yourself, um, do you? Well, I'm sure you have a lot of positive to say. I've seen your review too, so you guys weren't too far apart when it comes to opinion. But yeah, any more detailed thoughts on his review?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I was surprised when he was stating how accurate his white birch was. I think he mentioned over the course of the week it only picked up a second, so that's actually much better than the tolerances on mine. Mine's usually within 5 seconds a day, typically.
Yeah,
I also appreciated. I wasn't too aware of this, but when he was talking about, the kind of groundbreaking step Grand Seiko took with the dual impulse escapement, because I guess there hasn't been too many upgrades in watch escapements over the course of a couple centuries.
yeah,
So I kind of think there's the lever escapement, the coaxial escapement, and this dual impulse one. So yeah, that was kind of cool that he kind of broke that down a little bit more. And anecdotally too, I feel like him and I kind of have very similar tastes. So for me, it was resoundingly positive. It reinforced a lot of the opinions I had. And personally, actually looking at his Grand Seiko collection, and we talked about this, him and I,
yeah.
we pretty much have the same Grand Seikos exactly. He has the White Birch, he has the Lake Sua,
He does. He
and
does.
he
Yeah,
has the SPGM 221, the GMT.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we have the exact same White Birch. I mean, Grand Seiko. Sorry.
Yeah. You mean in like the snapshot of time, right, Tor?
Yeah, in the snapshot.
I'm just pulling your leg there. That's true.
Just like you and I had the same collection at one snapshot.
Yeah. Yep. It's ever changing.
I don't know, Patrick. Did you see it? What did you think?
Yeah.
I feel like I saw a video on the white birch this week, but it was one where they were comparing the new white birch with the spring drive versus the high beat. Was that one, or was I watching a completely different video?
No, this one was the Houdinki week on the wrist.
Week on the wrist video from Houdinki.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think I saw it then.
Yeah. It was just a straightforward review. Really well done. Brandon does really good work, videography and stuff like that. Speaking of videography, we got AP here. Look at that. Good to see you, sir. Hope you're doing well. Having a good Sunday. Ep is here as well. Good to see you, Ep. Yeah. Oh, Neff is wearing the Aquas. Very cool. Paul, Chaz is wearing the Paul side of the moon. Very cool. Hey, Mountain Standard Time is here too. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, sir. All right. Oh, Neff says Swiss Watch Gang reviewed the two white birches, so that's probably the one that you saw.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Patrick. I don't really want to talk about this video too much. I mean, the closer
Okay.
I think that means we're talking about it.
the closer the closer up the shots I saw, the more it reinforced my happiness that I no longer have the white birch. Not that it's a bad watch; it's a great watch, but it's definitely not for me. But
Was that with like respect to like the font or the seconds here not having an end cap to it, or
no, just the aggressive nature of the peaks and valleys, which it's for some people, right? It looks great.
yeah,
It's just very very aggressive for me. We got the the chaptering. Every other Grand Seiko they print it on the dial, and it's such a crisp printing, and this looks like a plastic piece on the dial, and it's for me it detracts the whole look of it. And the closer he got, the more glaring it was, and from a distance it's fine, like from wrist
yeah.
length out. It's
No, I mean I share your criticism of a chaptering. I do think it looks cheaper than the rest of the dial, but it's definitely not the focus of the watch. Like
Yeah.
So to me, it's like it's only there if you hone in on it.
Yeah. I think the person I have to blame who really opened my eyes to it was Uptick Watch Reviews. He said he was ragging on the white birch, talking about that, and I was like, man, I can't unsee it now.
But I mean, honestly, one of the key selling points is just Just look at that. Look at the back of this one.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
with the
it's a
5-day
gorgeous
spring
high beat
drive,
movement.
I get bored of looking at the Lake Sua. Like honestly, when you compare these two, like side by side, this 9SA5 movement is like stunning.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And I completely agree with you. I really want that movement on that movement or the 9RA2. I'm okay. I really like the 9RA2 on the 44 GS case, which exists. I just haven't been able to get a hold of one yet.
Because
But
it's limited edition.
yeah, like really limited, really
Yeah.
expensive too.
There was one at my ID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
didn't even know they had it. I walked in there and I said, "You guys have anything new?" And they're like, "We might get something soon." I'm like, "There it is."
Yeah.
So, but I
Yeah.
like the spring drive one that's black versus
High beat
the
with blue.
high beat. But I did get to hold it. It's really thin and it
Yeah.
feels really impressive in hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, one day. I'm sure Grand Seiko will come up with a different dial in next week. That
Yeah,
looks,
probably.
yeah, that looks completely different, or maybe even better. Who knows? You're always chasing your tail with Grand Seiko when it comes to
Hmm.
new releases, at least. But if you like we talked about, if you look at the back catalog, um, and you stay, let's say you stay 6 months behind, I think you're okay. Maybe a year. Just go back a year. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Um, Neff is saying Sanjay can't bear to see that birch anymore. No, it's not like that. um, Peter C says, I think he really misses it. I, yeah.
I mean, I'm only 2 hours away. You could come by and crest it if you want anytime.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, Justin says, oh, I read this, man. I'm having a slow day here. Mountain Standard Time says AD Rep said March 31st for the 2022 Rolex release date. Cool. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, poor Torrens having to suffer these injustices.
I mean, we just joke around, right? It's
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Steve said, I wonder why GS doesn't come out with any more watches with the new high beat movement. Oh, just you wait. It's probably gonna be an onslaught of it. What's the show coming up? Watches and Wonders?
yeah.
No,
Watch it.
that's it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's gonna be an onslaught. I bet there's gonna be like 10.
The next watch suit, people are going to be like, man, I wish there weren't so many high beat movements.
Yeah. Kevin S says, got to be careful not to just regurgitate criticisms. There's certain watches you hear on the web, like the rivets on the Black Bay 41. Yeah, that's a fair point. Rivets, I don't mind the rivets. I know that wasn't your point, Kevin, but Scott Turlow, everyone talks about just says attention to detail. To have a chapter ring is the opposite. That's kind of why that kind of hurts me, because it's a really little detail, and it's not a deal breaker. Well, like Torrin said, but there was a few lapses for me personally on the white birch that it led me to, not love it as much. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's talk about the Kevin O'Leary video, or the Teddy Baldessar. This is a fun one. I'll introduce it to you guys. So, Kevin and Teddy are sitting and talking about Seikos this time, and I think that really it's a video worth watching. I think the really interesting part from the beginning was the fact that Kevin O'Leary was not happy that Seiko had spring drive, movements on their watches, and I thought that was really strange. Like it was only in 2018 that Grand Seiko split, and I don't know if that's a worldwide split from Seiko. I thought it was just North America, but I may be wrong. But Seiko split from Grand Seiko, but it's still under the same umbrella, so it's still Seiko. I mean, um, and Kevin O'Leary mentioned that they still talk to each other, and of course they do. They're still under the same umbrella. But the crazy thing is that Seiko had a spring drive on their watches before Grand Seiko did, right? If we go back to 1999, I think the SBWA 001, 002. I might be wrong on that reference number, but it was the first watch to have a spring drive movement along with a couple of Crador movements. No, one other Crador movement. So watch. So Crador and Seiko had the first spring drive movements. It went on to go into Grand Seiko, I think, in 2004. So 5 years till it got to Grand Seiko, and even at that point, Grand Seiko was Seiko.
What is that, Creator?
Yep, that's
Oh, it is
one
a
of the
Crador.
first
Yeah,
Crador
I
spring
can tell by the
drives.
second hand.
That's so
So,
cool.
Yeah, cool.
So I've got the blue one in Japan. It's coming back to me soon. It went off for service.
Nice.
So but they came with the white and the blue dial. Pretty much, it's their moon phase. So they've got day and night. So this is day, and the other one's night.
Yeah.
So even 20 years ago, they were still doing their seasons, and so it's kind of neat that Grand or Seiko kind of stays in that circular logic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick bringing out the big guns tonight. Jeez.
um,
Skydwellers and Creedors.
Kevin also mentioning the Ananta had the spring drive movements. They did. Recently, even some of the Presage watches had spring drive movements. I can't quite remember reference numbers, SNRO something or other. But with the enamel dials and the maybe a porcelain dial, Presage had spring drive movements. So they've consistently had spring drive movements on their watches, and it just, I mean, it just really continues, to expose even Teddy Baldessar. You would think he'd know that, right? You think he'd know better, but maybe he was talking about the whole, like he said, we got to have another video about this. So maybe he just was holding himself back from talking about it. But man, it's spring drive is Seiko. The guy I forget his name, but the engineer was Seiko's engineer. Like spring drive is Seiko's. Grand Seiko is just a name. It's just a sub brand. And yeah, so that was interesting. It's an interesting little conversation Kevin O'Leary had with Teddy, and kind of exposed a bit of his maybe snobbiness. Like how could Seiko have spring drive? Grand Seiko is the maison. Seiko, what's Seiko, right? I mean, yeah. Anyway, every collection has to have a Grand Seiko, but Seiko, I don't quite get it. But what are your thoughts, Patrick?
Well, to start it off, I love and hate Kevin Leary because, as I said, he's just so misery and just so kind of just ugh. But at the same time, you love every bit of it. So he's kind of like that car fire where you just can't look away, and that's kind of to me what that video was today, because as you said, he using all of his little French maisons and collections and pulling out a loop and looking at every Seiko dial. You're like, what are you doing? But yes, what I love most about his videos is just that he pretends that he knows about watches, and sometimes he says the truth, which is like, I buy dials, and he really does. Like, he doesn't care what the watch is, he doesn't care what it looks like. He just likes a dial, and usually he likes it if it's got a little flamboyant pop, and I appreciate that part. But then just say, hey, I like it. Don't talk about movements if you don't know about movements. Don't, talk about the history of Grand Seiko and in Spring Drive when he doesn't know a damn thing about it. So I said, that to me, that's just kind of the funny part. But it was a very enjoyable video, but the whole time I was just kind of laughing in my head like, man, these two are ignorant. And that was sort of my take on it. But I saw a couple watches from Seiko that I'd actually never seen before, and they were actually pretty nice watches. And
Yeah,
I said so. So even though it was sort of a silly video, I did learn a little bit by seeing some of the GMTs and some of the Presage, or actually I guess they didn't, just Prospects models that I'd never seen before.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, that the Prospects LX, the last one, the one that Kevin
Yeah, that
O'Leary
new
really
one.
liked. That was really nice. Um, just just those SNR, man, those LX, sorry, those LX series watches are so incredible. Um, yeah, you should get one, Turin, because you had the wrist.
I know I got this. All LX models titanium as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
all
So
LX is like for lightness.
yeah.
I think it's lux. Although lux is a measurement of photons, not light as in weight light. But anyway, Seiko logic. um,
More like O'Leary logic.
I'm sure there's a deeper understanding that maybe I'm not quite seeing, but um, yeah. What were your thoughts, Torin, on this video?
Yeah, I was entertained. Like in general, those those Kevin O'Leary and Teddy Balthazar videos, those exchanges are always entertaining. And I try not to take it too seriously. I do know, like most people, kind of hone in on Kevin O'Leary is very opinionated, and I think he's like a self-professed watch expert. But I do think he's like kind of out of tune with like the general watch enthusiast, right? Because he's so used to, you know, buying luxury pieces and um, yeah, in terms of his knowledge about movements, as Patrick pointed out, I think he was a little ignorant to some of it, but it was entertaining nonetheless. I did think it was funny because he seems to fixate on dials, but then he kind of contradicts himself near the end because to like I thought at the end Teddy was like, "Oh, I for sure know what your top three are going to be, right?" Because like he picked up on the Sharp Edge GMT and he's like, "Oh, this is the best one, like hands down." And
Yeah,
then at the end of the video, he'd even pick it as like one of the top, right? Like I think the Alpinist beat it out. So I don't know. I always like how I think the reason these videos work very well is that Teddy's very good at either redirecting or being kind of like I don't know, just very good at kind of diffusing the situation or when he could have spent a lot of time talking about spring dives and he kind of deferred like, oh yeah, we'll have another video about it. Like that to me was
yeah,
very diplomatic and I think Teddy does a good job with that. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I did enjoy just seeing the different. Like, I also enjoy that Teddy has a. He tends to have a good cross section of watches. Every time he does these videos from brands, like I think he does do a good job starting kind of at low tier, showing the mid range, and then going more top tier models. And I kind of agree with a lot of the choices he had. So
Yeah,
I thought it was entertaining. Yeah, I mean, again, I
no
took
worries.
it with a grain of salt. I don't think Kevin O'Leary is really in touch with the average watch consumer, but you
Yeah,
know. And it was also kind of funny too because he was kind of pushing his wines at the beginning, and he was like, "This is liquid art," and then at the end, I'm like, "Yeah, he probably had a little bit of too much liquid art at the beginning."
yeah. That was it was also funny. Like, I think I think Teddy was a little sassy at the end. And like he said, yeah, whatever, drink up, kind of,
Yeah,
I got to, because Kevin said, I got to drink. Because I don't know if it was because of the spring drive
it
thing,
was a
but
spring drive. Yeah, he
yeah,
was so offended by it. I
yeah.
think he was just offended because he was worried about it diminishing the value of his Grand Seiko, right? But
Yeah, Neff brought it up too here. He was worried about it affecting the value
yeah,
of his Grain
sure.
Seiko spring drives, which is crazy. Yeah, he said like it makes his Grain Seiko, that this watch being out makes my Grain Seiko become 50% off or something. Um,
Yeah,
that's
it's a little,
harsh,
yeah,
or yeah,
Yeah,
out
Teddy
of
did a
touch.
good little defense to that, which was, sure they might have, spring drives and other movements, but they definitely aren't putting them in their, $500, entry levels. They're at least putting them to a different echelon of watch, and yeah, to me that's fine. I mean, I think spring drive is completely a Seiko proprietary item, and they can put it wherever they want to put it, but I think cost alone would maybe keep it in a mid tier at least. But who
yeah. I mean,
knows?
you've never seen a spring drive come out in a watch less than 2,500, I'd say, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if
Not
it's.
to my
I don't even
knowledge.
know if it's gone that low. But
Yeah,
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have earlier. I'm not sure, but at least recently, I think the cheapest you could get a spring drive was around 4,700 Canadian dollars. So
There you
like
go.
20 cents American. Haha.
Yep.
No, that would be like 4K American, I think, maybe 3,500. Um, yeah. Paul saying Kevin S is lovely, but he, I bet he could take the other not cool Kevin in a fight. um, let's keep on scrolling here. Neff saying, is he backing Teddy? Surely he is. He might be. That would be an interesting business
Yeah, that'd be an
relationship.
interesting deep dive. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Paul, Teddy is like Switzerland, neutral, and he's got watches to sell too. Yo.
That's great.
Nice.
MD Chaz says Kevin O'Leary's problem is that he owns multiple businesses and can't spend all day watching YouTube like some of us. Yeah.
You got to make time for what's important.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
What's interesting too, because if you watch like Kevin O'Leary's YouTube channel, he talks about the investment side of watches, and like I don't know, to me it's just again, it's like totally out of touch with like what you would normally do in this hobby.
Mhm. Yeah. Carl, good to meet you. I think Teddy holds back, but you can tell he gets frustrated with Mr. Wonderful's ignorance. That was, I think, the glimmer of hope I saw for Teddy. I thought maybe he had kind of lost it, but when he said, "Yeah, drink up," to Kevin, I was like, "Was that? Was he upset?" um, I think that gave me a bit of hope. That said, no, I should mention I really enjoy Kevin O'Leary. On Shark Tank and anywhere. Like I just I cry laughing when I watch Larry. So it's good stuff. Um, all right. James Duffy, even Seiko has to deal with Grand Seiko snobs.
Yeah.
Neff says, I hope he's back in Teddy. I want him to be successful. Like Kevin O'Leary to be successful, or Teddy?
You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're both doing pretty all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are the videos we had for today. I was thinking of keeping it a little light today, as I slowly get back into the groove of things with the new baby and stuff. And of course, Patrick, you got to get some rest too. You're working tomorrow, right?
Yes, I am 9 to 9.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks for what you do, Patrick.
Oh.
And Torin, how about you? Are you back to work tomorrow?
Certainly, yep. I mean, not as intense as you guys, but hey.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us for this light watch soup. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. Remember, guys, you guys are absolutely infinitely valuable. Justin asking about You're Terrific. I just couldn't watch it. I just couldn't watch it, unfortunately.
Oh, he did one on Zin. UTC.
Yeah, his happy place. I started to watch it, but then I got interrupted. He said, "This is my happy place," and then I had to leave. All right, guys. Well, take care. Stay safe out there, and I'll chat with you all next week. Have a good night, everyone.
Everybody.
Good night.